In April 1959, operations ceased at the Stag Brewery, Pimlico, marking the end of over 300 years of brewing history. The buildings were demolished prior to redevelopment, and the company papers and documents came to be deposited with us at the City of Westminster Archive Centre. Among this collection is a set of photographs taken in 1922, showing each stage of the brewing process. We've made this video in order to share these images with you in a slideshow, but first I'll give you a short background history. The Stag Brewery was built in 1641 by William Green and consisted of a few ramshackle buildings in Pimlico, surrounded by trees and fields. Towards the end of the 1700s it was owned by the Elliot family, who went into business with James Watney in 1837. Over the following years other partners joined and left the firm, but the brewery was predominantly controlled by the Watney family. By the time of its closure, the Stag Brewery had grown to a massive scale, occupying a huge site in one of the busiest parts of central London. The History of the County of Middlesex, published in 1911, reports that the brewery employed upward of 600 hands, and describes the extensive scale of the buildings and the degree to which the process had become specialised, with rooms or whole buildings devoted to each individual part of the brewing process. This is clearly shown on this 1946 fire insurance map, which marks the function of each building. However, a close look at this plan shows that it is far more than just a factory. A large area is occupied by accommodation for workers, and you can also see a cluster of buildings devoted to recreation, including a canteen, rifle range and billiard room. Perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of the Stag Brewery is the close-knit community that formed around it. Workers typically lived, socialised and played sports on or near the site, and many could trace back several generations of their family employed in the firm. It's a way of life that has pretty much disappeared today, but I think these photographs give a real sense of life and work within this self-contained brewing community. Well, that's the end of the show, but there are just a couple more photographs that I'd like to show you. These ones are not part of the album. This one is from 1911 and it shows the bottling hall. The vast majority of brewery workers were men, however the exception to this was the bottling hall, which was mainly the domain of women. It was very hard work, and women on the bottling line had a reputation in the brewing industry for being quite feisty. The strong community bond among brewery workers also extended to the animals they worked with. This photograph may look like a Victorian scene at first glance, but it's actually dated 1958. Many of the breweries continued in the tradition of using drays for local deliveries, long after the use of motorised wagons became the norm. The tradition was a good advertisement for the firm and helped promote goodwill amongst the community, who enjoyed the sight of horses waiting outside the pubs while the casks were rolled down to the cellars. Well, that is the end, and I hope you enjoyed it.